Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship presented by Colbek live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Peter Mackay. Sam Kumo operating the cameras tonight, and we're here for round 2 of this season 4. Peter, it was a fantastic start to the season at Phillip Island last time out. There were a few incidents, but on the most part there was some very good driving, and we have already an idea of the pecking order for this season 4 of the championship. I wait to see what is going to happen in these 2 races tonight at Interlagos.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here once again for the second round of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. And just when we thought the Urano Esports guys might have it a bit of their own way, we have can we say a wild card, an unexpected entry to come in and join us. Mirko Bertolotti, an absolute GT legend, a Lamborghini factory driver. Of course, no option of a Lamborghini in this particular championship. It's the GTE cars, so can't choose his trusty Lamborghini Huracan can Mirko. But Mirko actually back in 2019 won Sebring and Daytona in the same year, so he is very handy indeed, and he is equally handy in the sim. So I think Mirko in this number 163 BMW is going to shake up the pack a bit.
I think he will do, changing to the BMW just before this round, so that the Porsche wasn't for him. and so he went for the BMW, and that could be good. Down the straights could be tricky to pass out here. The drivers are currently in their qualifying session. All the drivers out on the same circuit. We've got over 50 drivers, I think, out there tonight. Nesov currently the top of the standings. He won both races at Phillip Island. A double is quite rare in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Only a handful of drivers have ever achieved it, and Nesov managed to achieve it at his first time of asking, giving him a championship lead of 18 points going into round 2 of the season. His teammate Niklas Laubich in third position, Matej leading with a couple of podiums in second. Those top 3 were on the podium in both of the races. Daniel Lee, a solid 4th place, but further back than that, the course sim racing guys and the Indy Autosports drivers were very solid last time out. That's Kittelman and Adrianson. So you can notice the 200 drivers, they are amateur drivers, so really mixing it with some of the best in the league so far. And yeah, so the standings still plenty of opportunity to change. Still 11 rounds of the championship, 22 races remaining of the season. I've already commentated on the circuit today, Pete. Actually, I was commentating on these exact cars in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship earlier today. It was Ross Rizzo who managed to win out on that occasion. And I noticed on that one, the straight line speed was really important for overtaking. If you don't have good straight line speed around here, it seems to be quite tricky to overtake. I wonder if that will kind of translate towards this race, and I wonder if it might be worth the drivers running a little bit less drag in order to have the opportunity to overtake.
Absolutely, yeah, and of course you've got kind of 2 distinct parts to the circuit. You've got this very, very long front straight uphill as well, where yes, the low downforce is going to be really important, and also you can run quite a low wing as well. You don't have to dial in much downforce into the wing, because of course rear wing having quite a lot of downforce will make the front quite understeery, and that is not really ideal in the really twisty parts on the inside, on the kind of infield, if you like, of the Interlagos circuit. So actually having a slightly loose car is not such a bad thing, because you can get the car to rotate on those changes of direction. So yeah, expect the drivers to be dialing in a relatively low downforce setup, because there's not really any fast corners really in the circuit, and a lot of very, very slow sort of second, third gear corners.
You can see James Crouch there with some good straight line speeds. That might be a bit skewed with maybe picking up a draft from another driver. But Crouch up there in second place ahead of Bortolotti, and Nesov still with pole position. We've only got 4 minutes to go, and that is something that the drivers were talking about last week, how when everyone's on circuit with one another, it's really tricky to find that lap time. Matty Chambers, I think, in particular. No, Chambers managed to do quite well, but it was Crouch who did quite poorly last time at Phillip Island, qualifying outside the top 20, but currently second on the grid. That would be a great result for him. Of course, this event is sponsored by Colbek, as is the entire championship, and Colbek is an IT reseller with over 30 years in the business, and they've been working with IT managers and departments across the UK to find savings on Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Altare, ESET, Acronis, and many more. And if you go to colbek.co.uk/iRacing, you can see if you can get some better pricing on everything that runs your IT. And you can also go there to vote for your driver of the day. Whoever gets the most amount of votes wins. And we saw some quite skewed results. Obviously, Steve Burke should have won last time. Someone else did vote for Steve Burke. I wasn't the only one who voted for Steve Burke. But there were some odd results. Alexandri Nesov not too far up the order either, despite winning both races. So if you just like a driver up there, go visit colbek.co.uk/iRacing, and you can vote for your favourite driver. And maybe they can get a little bit of a prize. I think they win a little bit of money, and they also get a medal. So it's well worth trying.
Very good initiative indeed. Just looking at our SDK Gaming overlaid graphics just now, showing the track temperature 49 degrees centigrade. That is incredibly high. What that means is that these Michelin tyres fitted to these GTE machines will really struggle to get that bite and that grip in the tarmac that they need. So the drivers will feel like it's very kind of greasy and slippery, and you know, that's not ideal here at Interlagos. But same for everyone, as they say. But it just also shows you as well that when you're in qualifying, you kind of need to get out there, get that lap in the back, because I don't foresee there being much of a flurry of fast lap times later in the session.
Yeah, with all these cars pounding around, that's going to increase the track temperature a little bit again. So, yeah, a quick lap early on is absolutely important for these drivers. It should cool down for the second session as long as this session advances with the timings. It will be 4 o'clock in the afternoon for the second race, which is still warm because I believe the date is like the 6th of February in Sim. And obviously this is in the southern hemisphere for those who aren't too familiar with geography, and so that means that the winter solstice becomes the warmest day of the year. And so seeing that we're quite close to December the 21st, then yeah, it's some of the warmest weather we'll get all season. However, I think IMSA have been running this same weather this week in the official stage, so the drivers hopefully will be prepared for it. Not too much changing, as you kind of predicted, Peter, at the top of the standings. Crouch isn't going to be completing another lap. The drivers can complete the lap that they start, seeing that this is a group session. And so still Bortolozzi, Riedmuller, Lee and Newman still looking to improve in order to get themselves up the order.
Indeed, yeah, we're just riding on board right now with Fellini in the Porsche 911 RSR. A wee bit of traffic, and quite a lot of traffic. Of course, it is relatively compact here at Interlagos, so traffic, I think, definitely an issue for quite a lot of the drivers. But business as usual, Alexei Nezov going to be our pole man.
Yeah, apologies. I thought that the session would continue, but actually no, it was just like, nope, we're not having any more of that. So that's a shame. Yeah, I was being thick. I was being very thick. Alexei Nezov on pole position, looking to make it 3 out of 3. James Crouch, what a qualifying for Crouch. That is, he did get a couple of poles last season. I think he got pole at Nürburgring last season, but it's not usually a qualifier, really, is Crouch. But that is astonishing for him to be up there in PT. There was Mirko Bortolozzi on his debut in 3rd place. That's Max Riedmuller, Daniel Lee, Sven Newman, Maximilian Fritz, Maximilian Paul, Matthias Beer. Great qualifying there for Beer. Congrats to him. Gonzalo Cortez around at the top 10. Then it was Make Paluch, Joy Ricuti in 12th place. Matteo Fulini, obviously 2nd place in the championship, only 13th on the grid. Nasser Buscherad, Tom Brown, Dominic Engel, Matthew Chambers, Steve Berg, Anton Metzer, and Scott Vista round out the top 20. The rest of the order will go through for you now. Jensen Adriansen was in 21st, 2nd place in the championship, in the amateur championship. Kevin Kitzman, leader of the amateur championship, only 28th. So quite a bit of a change compared to last time. We've got some of our big championship hitters, Peter, who are a bit further down the order. So yeah, quite a difference compared to last time out.
It certainly is. Maybe a little bit of the Interlagos factor, or more accurately, maybe a little bit of the Phillip Island factor. We certainly see that when I always find when the World Superbike Championship goes to Phillip Island, and they have the most incredible 2 races and quite unpredictable results, and you think, oh, this is the season, it's going to be the best season ever, and then it goes back to the status quo. So is this the standout, or was it Phillip Island? We will find out. And of course, that's the beauty of this championship. We're going to go to a variety of circuits. Now, normally I would say the drivers are lined up behind the Porsche 911 pace car, but Sam, being a policeman's grandson, I can be quite curious when I want to be, and given that it's a Ford Mustang pace car, I presume you've had something to do with that.
Yes, as is tradition with the series, because for the younger people, including yourself, Peter, on iRacing, about 18 months ago, the default pace car was the Mustang. I know that's mind-blowing, I appreciate you may need to take a moment here, but it wasn't always the Porsche, it used to be the Mustang. And to say I was upset that they changed it would be an understatement. Hence why we have brought back the Mustang for this championship. It's the only championship on Apex Racing League or on Apex Racing TV which has the Ford Mustang pace car, but I like it. Let's just hope it doesn't break down on the way to the pit lane. But yep, that's the reason why we have it, and you know, it looks good. It got you alright, so it must be doing something well. Alexei Nesov then behind the safety car. We'll see how big a gap he leaves to the safety car before the start. It can be chaotic. We had 4 wide, but remarkably no incidents last season when we visited this circuit. I can't help but feel this might not be a repeat of that, but Nesov will just be focusing on himself and trying to pull away. He is right on the Ford Mustang pace car right now, and so they're going to be a decently far way down the pit straight before the green flag comes out. The green flag is now out, and look at Nestor pulling away from the order straight away. Good start for Bortolozzi as well to get past Crouch. It seems as though he's got the inside line going into turn 1, and he will secure that one, so that's an important start for the Italian. Bit of contact with Lee and Paul, I believe that was, going down into turn 1. The BMW coming off second best on that occasion as they run 2 wide through turn 3. Ball start for Lee, actually losing a couple of places. Great start for Steve Burke. He's gained 4 places, starting at a similar run to what he had at Phillip Island last time out. Fritz having to go mega defensive. Apologies, Fritz trying to attack Sven Newman at the moment, but he couldn't quite make that stick. They have both gained a place from their start, and the top 10 already rather spread out, Peter.
They are indeed, yes. I wonder if this is maybe going to be a Nezov versus Bortolotti battle here in this opening 25-minute race at Interlagos. And of course, don't forget, this is the first of 2 races this evening. We have the feature race with a partly reverse grid as well, which always throws up a little bit of spice to proceedings. Now, this is where the driver's got to be super careful, because these GTE machines do not have anti-lock brakes. It's, anti-lock brakes aren't going to do much about that. That's what we call the side swipe. Goodness, that was a classic Interlagos side swipe there.
Oh, we've got a couple more cars as well. We've got Rista up ahead. Rista did really well in qualifying, but just like Phillip Island, not getting the most out of his pace. And Kevin Kidsman, leader of the Amateur Championship, did so well at Phillip Island. I think finishing up in 6th place in race 2. He's got spin and potentially damage. Might be worth pitting in, Kidsman. Top 50 get points in this championship, and you do get a fast repair. So I think, yeah, it might be worth just Kidsman taking the points with that one. But of course, the finishing order from this race largely sets in the starting order for the next race, just a reverse grid of 15 for race 2, as we have side by side between Crouch, who is struggling to back up that fantastic qualifying pace. Riedmuller is looking to try to get past at the moment. Doing well though is James Crouch at the moment. He's holding on to that 3rd place, but there's absolutely no rest at the moment, and there goes Riedmuller up the inside. They'll stay alongside here, and this is going to just lose them time and really append to the back of this train.
Yeah, this is a classic Interlagos, you know, back and forth, switch back, right, left, and you've really you need to trust the other driver as well to not avoid getting tipped around. We've seen it. I mean, I have to remember Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton having a little bit of tip-tap here at Interlagos, but good start from Riedmuller there in the Corvette in 3rd position, the German star for 5-star Motorsport through. Also Sven Newman, the Corsim Racing Corvette. So seems to be a little bit more of a spread of manufacturers this week, Sam. We saw Porsche domination last week, but we've got a Ferrari up there, we've got a couple of Porsches, we've got a BMW, and we've got a handful of Corvettes. A really nice mix, much more like it.
Yeah, it's really cool to see right there. You're absolutely right that the Porsche is seemingly not nearly as dominant as it was. It's not the completely opposite circuit, but slightly different corners, seemingly helping the other cars as Crouch tries to defend his track extending. We will get some penalties eventually if he does that too many times. Crouch, though, with the inside on Newman. You can see how Riedman has just sprinted away from these guys already. And Crouch does a better job this time at covering off the move, going into turn 6, and there goes Fritz up the inside of Newman. That's a nice move. However, Newman off the circuit loses a bunch of time, does the 111, and had to take evasive action. Daniel Lee, meanwhile, who had a poor start. Oh wow, that is a move there from Paul past Newman. Newman's really getting shoved out right now. Hasn't really done a whole lot wrong, and he might be a bit frustrated that he's getting a few places in quick succession. He's now got his teammates alongside him, and yeah, Newman's gone from looking like he maybe could get a P3 out of this to down into P7.
Yeah, I would think that Sven Newman will be a little bit irked by Maximilian Paul's conduct there. He was pretty forceful and kind of moving him out onto the paint at best, on the grass at worst. So we'll see. Riding on board with Matthias Beer, the German Austin Powers. Now, why do we call him that? Well, just look at the paint scheme on this Ferrari 480. It is very, very groovy indeed. There it is, bright green wheels as well. Normally I'm not a fan of green wheels, but Matthias, he just pulls it off.
He really does. It's quite distinctive compared to these other very sleek liveries. Matthias is, I think, up there with one of the best. I believe did he win the livery awards in the GT4 Championship?
He did. I made sure of it.
Yes.
A bit like you made sure of the type of pace car we were using.
Exactly. Yeah. When something's that important, you got to take matters into your own hands. But he's doing insanely well as Matthias Beer. Obviously, decent driver in the GT4 Championship. I think finished 4th overall in the season in his BMW, which was so quick at some rounds and absolutely rubbish at other rounds. But very consistent. But not necessarily a whole lot of absolute pace. But this is an insanely high quality league, up there with the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship in terms of quality. And we've got quite a mix of really high I-rated drivers and some drivers pushing above their weight. One of them is Steve Buck, who is the highest running amateur driver at the moment in 13th. It's only one place behind Matteo Fulini. However, he has got Tom Brown right on his tail. Brown looks to the inside. Quite make it, but Buck was a little bit deep into the corner, and this train is starting to stack up a bit. They've also got Doi Rakuti involved in this one, as Daniel Lee is dropping back further places, down into 9th place. Here comes Matthias Beer down the middle of these two guys. We've got Paluch on the outside. This surely cannot end well, but well, they're all still trying to pass one another. Lee getting back ahead then of Beer, trying to cover that one off. Paluch might be able to start to pull away, but these guys have lost so much time. They were right on the tail of Newman before, and now they're absolutely miles off.
Tell you what, they did very well to all coexist there and not end. Oh, goodness me. Gonzalo Cortez really late on the brakes there. Missed his braking point, I think, and lucky not to cause a little bit more of a turnaround. Now, thanks very much to Kev Copeland, who has written in on the YouTube chat, and thanks to everyone watching on the YouTube broadcast here on Apex Racing TV. Now, Sam, I know that you're a man of admin matters. Kev is asking, what is the reversed grid position tonight? So, how many of the grid will be reversed?
Well, Kev isn't the smartest person on the shirt, but I
wouldn't agree with that statement.
But I did say earlier on, so it's 15. It's 15 reverse grids for this one, so you won't be 15th place in order to get reverse grid pole, and there is 15th place. Nasser Busharat from Kuwait. We've had a couple of drivers from Kuwait. I'm not sure what you call people from Kuwait, but he's currently in the reverse grid pole position. Would certainly be the first pole sitter we've had on an Apex Racing League event from Kuwait. So he is doing very well out there, but could still change. He's got Rakuti and Chambers right on his tail, and Grossman as well. All very top drivers, all drivers who you kind of expect to be up in the top 10, so he will do well to hang on to that. But at the moment, he's got a little bit of a cushion behind him. It's looking good for the Porsche driver.
Indeed, yeah, great to see such a big mix of nationalities here in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Now, Maximilian Paul, he is really on a bit of a charge right now, and oh, surprise, surprise, he's back with Sven Newman, and I wonder if Sven he will be giving as good as he got a few laps ago. James Crouch continuing his very impressive run, the leading Ferrari, up in 5th position right now for Evo Sim Racing. The defending, if you like, the defending champions. Their car, of course, won last year last season in the hands of Tom McMahon. In the much missed 4GT, I have to say that I'm really, really sad we don't have the 4GT much anymore. There seems to be a bit of a vendetta to make sure it's not allowed to be used in competition, which is a real shame.
Yeah, it's not quite competitive enough, I guess, at the moment, albeit in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, it is used quite extensively. That one does have its own balance of performance, I guess, but certainly Ford has a little bit of pace about it, so yeah, shame that no one is running it. Chambers down into 18th, it's just been overtaken by Grossman. So Grossman up into 17th now. Apologies, just looking at the YouTube chat, and apparently it's Q80, but I'm not sure if Tom McMahon has the authority to say that. I've just remembered what I was going to say. EBOSR have won the last 2 team championships. They won it in Season 3 and Season 2, I believe. I think we're runner-ups to Gold Sim Racing back in Season 1. And they've won the last couple of seasons quite comfortably as well, so obviously these new drivers joining the championship has made it a bit more tricky for them, but certainly Crouch is representing them well up in the top 5.
You're on a bit of a mission to offend everyone in the YouTube chat tonight, Sam, for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't like him. I don't like him.
Dear me. So Kev's reply was, sorry I wasn't listening. Kev, neither was I. I'd forgotten what it was as well, so never mind.
But your job is to speak, not to listen. If you're watching this broadcast and you're not listening, I don't know what you're doing, frankly. Sorry.
Dearie me. Maybe they've switched us off and put the Radio Le Mans commentary on. That seems to be the experts' way to watch endurance racing or sports car racing is turn off the TV commentary and turn on the Radio Le Mans commentary. That seems to be one that a lot of people do.
Steve Burke is outside the reverse grid places. He's just lost a few places. He's back inside the reverse grid places. It's Boucherad, the Kuwaiti, is off the track. And he's down to 16th place. That could be a huge mistake. Here comes Grossman. You can see a reverse grid pole coming his way because he's got good pace as Grossman. Qualified, wait. Oh no, he's in the wall. Oh, huge crash there for Grossman. He shakes it off quite quickly, but I think he's going to have to come into the pits for a fast repair there. That was a high-speed incident right there, and Grossman's chances of reverse grid pole have come to an end.
Yeah, that's not ideal at all, but Burrishead here in the Porsches, he gets a little bit of a tap, and then a tap again, and are we going to see a flying Corvette appear here somewhere? Further back, separate incident, right, okay.
Yeah, I think Grossman was the one tapping him, but then he managed to kind of destabilise his own car and went into the wall.
Oh dear. Oh, that's not good. I can't help but thinking about Roland Grossman's sauces for some reason. Maybe that's just how my mind works.
Is it Lloyd Grossman's?
Lloyd Grossman, that's it, not Roland.
There you go. I don't think he does sausages, does he?
I think he might. I think he has diversified quite a bit since he came on the scene when I were a lad and he had his Sunday cooking show, which my mum would like to watch.
Oh, I didn't realise he had that. But I think he does curry sauce. I'm not sure what the extent of his culinary empire is. Edon Polovina is off the track. It took him a while to get back going again, didn't it? And he's down into 42nd now.
Yeah, he was in a really tricky position where he was pointed at the wall, didn't have an awful lot of room to do a flick turn, and then couldn't reverse really either properly because, of course, he would have gone into the racing line. So, yeah, a little bit of a tricky one there for Eden Polovina in the Corvette C8R. Of course, a car that, may have to say, made me very, very happy last week at the Daytona 24 Hours. P12 for these magnificent machines from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, I still think the best looking GTE cars. Oh, I thought that was Daniel Lee gaining a place, but it's Dean Powell gaining a place. Pal, who had an absolute nightmare at Phillip Island, and he did get a couple of pit lane starts, so he will be signed on the pit lane for race 2. But he's doing pretty well in this race. He's got a bit of damage on that car, but he's up into 35th now. Atkinson's only just ahead. Bad day for Atkinson's. Atkinson's made up a few places, I think, earlier on, but he's back down into 34th. So both him and Kittelman doing poorly, and we could well have a new amateur championship leader come the end of this first race of the day. Both races worth the same amount of points, of course. Still got 10 minutes to go in this race as Van der Nesse is passing. Oh no, we've got the two. Oh my goodness, I've made the same mistake again. We've got two Adjensons and I got confused between Jensen's and Dara. Apologies, I'll try to learn that at some point this season. So yeah, Jensen, as usual, he's fine. He's done an 18, so he didn't drop down the order. That is Van der Nesse ahead. And then it's Broomfield, Engel dropping down the order. So Broomfield up into 20th on his return to the championship after a season and a bit out. It's very chaotic though behind. Engel desperately trying to gain places. He's well out of position, so too is Elvis.
Yeah, this is so tough here at Interlagos. You really having strong racecraft is vitally important, because you can really get, as we saw, as happened to Sven Newman for a little while, got kind of punched back without really making any mistake at all. Just unlucky almost. So you can see the switching back and forth of position, absolutely incredible. I mean, you know, it's a good circuit for overtaking when the F1 cars can even overtake each other around here. That's when you know it's particularly good. 3 wide down into turn 1 they go. Oh, Corvette. Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, no.
A friendly fire. Oh dear. Oh, well, that was... We'll make for a good Christmas card, get a still shot of that, and they'll be like, oh, look at them drifting in parallel. Yeah.
I think they crashed into one another in the last Phillip Island as well. I don't think it was those two necessarily, but I think it was Core Sim Racing who came to blows. They were, well, they got a bad record at the moment. There was also a spin for someone in the background. I'm not sure who it was. It was Elfers. Elfers, I think, spun in the background. He's down to 34th now, so it's a shame for Elfers. But now, those couple of Core Sim Racing drivers ahead of this big pack might be able to start to pull away, whilst these other guys continue to battle one another. Reverse grid pole is now for Steve Burke. Matty Chambers is catching up to him. Gap is 7 tenths of a second. It would be huge for Burke, who remember, missed out on the reverse grid places by 1 position last week at Phillip Island. He gained 25 places in race 1. If he'd gained 26, he would have been on reverse grid pole. Instead, I think he started in 17th place. At the moment, he's right on the fringe. Again, this might be a pattern we see throughout the season. Yeah, it's important for him to keep that 15th place, but Chambers and Boucherad are catching him quick, so to his Adjensons.
Indeed, yeah. Steve Burke is the leading driver in the AM class category. You can tell which class the driver is in if you look both on our timing tower. If they are white, that's the AM class. If they are blue, that is the Pro class. Also, if you look at the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the SDK track map. You'll see these little M&Ms that are sort of twirling around the circuit. If they are white, they are AM. If they are blue, they are Pro. So the leading car in AM right now, 15th position, Steve Burke. And as you say, Sam, to get a reverse grid pole would be such an edge on his competitors and a brilliant chance. I think that's going to be the key to the amateur championship in the ARL GT series, is if you're in the AM class, if you can somehow sneak the reverse grid, you stand in good position to gain a whole chunk of points.
Yeah, and that's been the story for the past few seasons. A bit of a different dynamic this season because we've got so many drivers. We've kind of gone from kind of 40 drivers to 50 drivers per round. The reverse grid hasn't really got much bigger. It can be anything from 14 to 28, but they've had a couple of very small ones so far this season, as Bortolozzi is having to defend against Riedmer. So we thought Bortolozzi would be moving forwards, but instead Nesov is 3 seconds up the road, and it's in fact Riedmer they're trying to go for an aggressive overtake. Didn't work out for him on that occasion. But yeah, it's that much more tricky this season for the amateurs to get within the reverse grid places. Certainly in the top 20. If you're in the top 20 as an amateur driver, that is a massive effort that you've put in. And so the rewards for the reverse grid is even more than it's been in previous seasons. So you're absolutely right, Peter. Absolutely essential for the drivers to get up in those places. And currently Burke is the only one in there. Bortolozzi should have some good straight line speed, to be fair, with that BMW. It is the fastest car down the straight, I believe. Obviously, depending on what your setup is, will make a bit of a difference there. So you might have a good chance, but Riedmuller definitely looks quicker, I'd say.
Well, he's trying anyway, that's for sure. But Mirko Bortolotti seems to have got a little bit of the hurry on there. Riedmuller, I think, had a slight look into turn 1 because his name just very briefly appeared on the timing tower in second. Now that's interesting. Bortolotti has by far the lower top end speed than Riedmuller in the Corvette. Another car kind of renowned for it is Bortolotti has been very, very defensive, then moves across using that real world racecraft to place that big BMW. There's certainly plenty of it to cover the line, that's for sure. Now I'm saying this as a golfer, Sam. It is a bit of a golfer's car in road trim.
What's that? The BMW?
The BMW, yes. Yes.
I mean, I have a golf course about 10 miles away. Do I see many BMWs? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, if you pay attention, you'll see a lot of BMWs.
Is it good
particularly
for playing?
8 Series.
Does your golf clubs fit very well in the boots?
I think you'd be able to fit 2 sets of golf clubs, maybe even one, or certainly at least one set, and your electric trolley as well, which is obligatory for someone with all the gear and no idea.
Oh no, Burke has just gone down. Apologies. I'd love to talk more about golf, but Burke has gone off the track, and that is the lead gone. Adjinsons takes the lead in the. It's by himself. Steve Burke will be absolutely kicking himself, and this is the danger when you track extend like that. It's so tricky to get back on. Dips a wheel onto the grass, and he was lucky not to be hit by another driver, and that was a quick reverse. Usually I would be saying, hold the brakes, but Burke there, clearly eyes on the relative, knew what he was doing. So it's Edson Adjinsons then in the lead of the outer category, and Matty Chambers now reverse grid pole if it ended like this with a few laps to go. Just to add more to our golf conversation, I played the original golf game, which is Crazy Golf, obviously, where it all started. So that's my one, and my Citroen C1 is fine to carry myself to and from the Crazy Golf course for that.
So you're a Citroen C1 man, Sam. Have you thought about stripping it out and going and racing in the Citroen C1 Cup?
I have. You literally can use the same car. Obviously, the roll cage is the big addition, as a couple of changes on screen. The roll cage is the big difference, but it would be superb. The 24 hours of Spa for the Citroens would be a dream.
So you could be a team owner or a car owner, and me and a couple of other of our ragtag bunch from Apex Racing could all club together and have a run. We could make a team, because our endurance races so far together as a team have gone so well.
Yes, so many laps we've done in those races. We'll maybe that will be a future endeavour. It would be a lot of fun doing Overage in a C1. Try to get it up there.
At least you could pay your flat.
Yeah, that's true. Bortolozzi and Riedmuller still battling. Riedmuller fell back a bit. Now he's caught back up, but he cannot get past Bortolozzi. Remember, a little bit of prize money for this. Colbek, our sponsor for this championship, which are an IT reseller, are offering some prize money for the drivers. So the top 3 drivers in both the pro and the amateur categories get a bit of prize money in each of the 24 races we have this season. And there's some prize money as well for the overall championship finishing orders. So a little bit of money at stake here. I think it's a $4 difference, or £4 difference, sorry, between second and third position. That is what these drivers are fighting for, along with I think 4 points as well.
Tell you what, you could have a double shot large cappuccino with all the fancy syrups in it for that nowadays. That would get you the full factory coffee from any chain coffee shop of your choice nowadays. Just about. Or a copy of Autosport. I'd rather spend on that.
Well, Alexei Nesov is soon going to get his entry fee back. Unfortunately, entries is closed for this championship, albeit entries are open for a couple of other Apex Racing League series, so do check it out on apexracingleague.com. But the entry, so going defensive there is Bortolozzi. Yeah, I think if he wins a couple more races, Nesov will have it back, as Bortolozzi's still holding on. Riedmuller, as you were saying before, really quick down the straights. Obviously, it's difficult to judge because he's got a draft, but he does seem to gain quite a bit near the end of the straights, but he just drops too much in turn 12, and he's too far back when it comes to turn 1. This is the last lap of the race.
I wonder, perhaps, if maybe Mirko Bertolotti's got the car a little bit shorter gearing, perhaps, and that's giving him a little bit more boogie out the slow corners, which of course there is quite a lot of here at Interlagos. But he's paying for it on the top end, perhaps, as we see Brian Krohn for Indy Autosport battling with the wounded Roland Grossman in the other Corvette, as we see the Porsche now, the expansive Porsche of Marco Tolman having a look in it out there. Oh dearie me, just having a look up the inside there, and you can tell that that Corvette of Grossman is not behaving for him. It's just you see him running wide and making mistakes here and there. That car's clearly not at 100% health.
As we see our race leader and soon to be race winner, it's going to be 3 out of 3 for Alexei Nesov and for Urano Esports. He wins race 1 here at Interlagos. Bortolozzi holds off Riedmuller. Great battle between the two of them. Fritz and Crouch round out the top 5. Newman, Paul, Beer, Palage and Fulini round out the top 10. Boucherad is going to get a Vasco pole. It looks like Jensen Adjessens couldn't catch quick enough. And in 15th place and taking a Vasco pole is Nasser Boucherad. Jensen Adjessens finishes in 16th place. Roy Rakuti, Chris van der Nesse gains 13 places for 18th, so nice effort for him. And the rest of the drivers in close quarters with one another, reaching the checkered flag at the moment. Drew Becker gained 9 places in the end from his race start. Oh, this one could be close. This is Dara. Apologies, no, that was one of the other Indy Sports drivers. That is Derek Holland, passing Kerneth right there, Jan Kerneth. It was Holland who won out. People just to get across the line, but more domination there from Nesov. He's looking very tricky to beat, and with another small reverse grid, Peter, I'd put Nesov as the favourite for this race too. You know, he made it look so easy to win last time out at Phillip Island. I can't help but feel the same might happen again.
Yeah, that's it's going to be very hard to top it, that's for sure. I mean, over 5 seconds in a relatively short race there. So yeah, Alexei Nesov putting his marker down as the early championship favourite, with Marco Bertolotti, new addition to the championship, in second, with Max Riedmuller in third with the first of the Corvettes. Maximilian Fritz in fourth, and James Crouch in the leading Ferrari. Sam, that's a great performance for Evo SR and James Crouch there.
Yeah, maybe he will be getting my driver of the day. I'm sure there's a few EVSR guys watching along who will be voting for him for a driver of the day.
Who you offended earlier.
After that one. Yeah, they're not listening to me anymore, are they? They weren't listening in the first place. Alexei Nesov wins out then, ahead of Mirko Bortolozzi. Then it was Max Riedmuller, Maximilian Fritz, James Crouch, Sven Niemann, Max Paul, Matthias Beer. Once again, well done to Beer. Maybe he'll be my driver of the day. Make Paluch in 9th place. Then was Matteo Fulini. Behind that was Daniel Lee, Tom Brown, Matthew Chambers, Drew Becker, Nasser Busharad, Daniel Sykes, Brian Kroon, Sonny Brown, Marco Tolman, David Gary, Chris Prescott. Hang on, am I reading? I think, no, I don't think mine are right. Apologies, I think I messed it up. Anyway, in 18th place was Chris Van Den Nesse. Anyway, in 19th position was Anton Metzer. Then Steve Burke, Dominic Engel, Brian Kroon, Marco Tolman. Oh, maybe it was right. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Ronald Grossman was in 24th. Drew Becker, 25th. Then Scott Kimbrell. David Gary, Stephen Broomfield in 28th place. Dara Adjinson's in 29th. Justin Garek in 30th. Then was Brent Cook. Fabian Elfers, Edon Polavina, EJ Nixon, Andrew Collins-Reed, Derek Holland, Jan Kerneth, Shane Keiko, Scott Vista, Chris Prescott, Tom Bingham, Pete Meyerher, Daniel Sykes, Bradley Hulse, and Herbert, Dean Powell. Dean actually dropped down a bit at the end. Dave Chadwick will score points, but unfortunately won't score points for Denny Piazza, again retiring. Kevin Kittle with no points. What are you doing, Kevin? Come on, you gotta get out there and score some points. Had a bastard pair, man. Sonny Brown was in 50th place as well, rounding out the drivers. A couple more minutes now of warm-up to go. Another quick shout out to Apex Racing Academy, another sponsor for all of Apex Racing TV's broadcasts. Apex Racing Academy designing setups for rallycross cars, GTs, single seaters and prototypes. And if you go to Apex Racing, AC.com, you can get yourself a bronze, silver or gold membership, and with that you can get driver tutorials, you can get group driver tutorials, and also setups, commentated driver laps as well, picking up all of the spots where you need to improve your driving. And so certainly do recommend Apex Racing Academy for all that. I personally been using the Apex, the Porsche Cup setups designed by Porsche Cup Esports winner Kevin Ellis, and I have got marginally better. I was quite bad. I'm mediocre now, so I'm very pleased with the results of Apex Racing Academy. Yeah, a couple more minutes now of warm-up to go before we get into the race. Do you think there was anyone perhaps out of position there, Peter, who might have a good chance at getting this race to win? I was thinking maybe Daniel Lee looks a little bit out of place there, but will be starting P5 in this race too. Maybe he could have a good chance at getting another podium.
It's certainly podium, yes. I think it's going to take something quite unusual for Alexei Nezov to be stopped for the win. But of course, here in this reverse grid race, he will have to come through the pack. Here, 15 cars, and we know how how tricky it can be going into turn 1 and 2. The Senna S's, often you can see cars getting tangled there, so there is the risk there. But I think once Nezov gets into his rhythm, he's going to be very, very tough to hang on to. So yes, it will be interesting. Just another note on the Apex Racing Academy setups. I have to say, I was doing a race with our colleague Alessandro Dalladoni in the VRS Endurance Series in a Lamborghini Huracan, and we were using the Academy setup, and it felt like a Skeletrix car. It felt on rails until I put it off the rails, of course. But while it was on the rails, it felt like it.
Yeah, I unfortunately I never found out what it was to drive that car.
You could have.
I could have, but I didn't. Anyway, no, I tried a little bit in the practice session, and you are right, it was good, and yeah, some good setups on there. That's a Bushrad on pole position. Matthew Chambers starts in second place. Then it is Tom Brown, Gonzalo Cortez, Danny Lee, Matteo Fulini, Mick Paluch, Matthias Beer, Maximilian Paul, and Sven Newman. Rounding out the top 10, the rest of the order will go through for you now. Race 1 winner Alexei Nesov, double race winner last time at Phillip Island, starts in 15th position. You can see Jensen Adjinson's there, top of the amateur drivers for this race. Once again, the Ford Mustang pace car on the track. The session has advanced as planned, so the track will be a bit cooler now. I think it's mid-30 degrees track temperature because it's now 4 in the evening. You may have noticed a small lighting change, a little bit darker now out on circuit. So the track should be that much quicker, and maybe even a couple of tweaks to the setup might be a bit in demand. I usually find that maybe you can run a little bit more, you may have to run a bit more rear wing in these conditions because the front might grip up that bit more, but I'm sure these drivers know a bit more about these cars than I do. You can see down to 35 degrees track temperature. That's about 15 degrees cooler than it was for race 1.
Yeah, and the drivers will notice that straight away, and it will actually really help because obviously we've got a longer race here, 40 minutes, and yeah, they'll be quite glad of that slightly cooler track temperature for just getting those tyres should stay pretty optimum for the majority of the race.
Yeah, much less of a factor than what we had even at Phillip Island when it was properly warm for race 2, a bit kinder for the tyres for this race B. So it is the Kuwaiti Inessa Busharad to start from pole position in this one. Matthew Chambers alongside, once again, an EVSR car on the front row of the grid, as it was James Crouch in race 1. We got the time 1 rather unscathed in race 1. We'll see if the same occurs today, or whether it's a bit more tricky for these drivers. Busharad leaving a bit more of a gap than what we saw Nesov do, who was all over the back of the Ford Mustang pace car before it peeled off into the pit lane. But Busharad soon to have control of the field, and it's his decision when to go. The green flag is out, and away we go. Some very good starts from the 4th or 5th row on the grid. A poor start for Busharad, and he might lose the lead straight away to Tom Brown, who storms down the inside into turn 1 at the start of this race 2 at Interlagos. Poor start as well for Chambers. The front row just didn't react to the green flag at all, and the top 2 have started to pull away from the rest of the order. Great start for Bortolotti. He's up 4 places already. He was one of those drivers who absolutely was lightning away from the starts. Steve Burke as well again gets an awesome start as he seems to be making a pass off. Bortolotti though is going to have to Bortolotti gain more places. That was one of the core sim racing drivers of Make Paluch, losing a bunch of positions off the circuit through 4, off the circuit through 5, and when he gets back onto circuit into turn 6, he's down into 13th position. Nesov up 3 places, but struggling to keep pace with Bortolotti as we see Busharad retake the lead. Brown very wide, and Cortez will have a little bit of that. He's up into P2.
Yeah, and Tom Brown reclaiming the lead once again in his Ferrari. Got such a good launch, really just timed it perfectly and slipped by. So much so that he actually still has, you'll see those 3 green lights on the side of the car. That's actually to say he's 3rd in the race. Well, he was until he just jumped it. Oh, and we've got a big old pile up here. Derek Holland involved. We've got one of the BMWs. I think that might be Steve Burke. And number 271 Porsche as well. I think it's Scott Kimbrough. No, it's Chris Prescott. My apologies. Another BMW M8. So, a real pile up there. It can happen so easily here at Interlagos with the constant switchbacks in the infield section. So we're focusing here on Chris Prescott's BMW, and he gets into a tank slapper and just takes them all with him. No malice involved, but just highly unfortunate. You hate to be the driver to do that, but easily done. Now, Alexei Nesov got a little bit mired in the pack, didn't quite get the same run that Bortolotti did, but Bortolotti's got big problems here. There's a BMW that's Maximilian Paul, who nearly takes out Bortolotti, and oh goodness me, there's Crouch who's had a spin around, so 0 to 0 for Crouch in the Ferrari.
That's so many places as well lost for Crouch. He must have lost about 20 places right there, so had a good chance at a real nice points haul tonight, but it'll be tricky for him now. He's got a lot of overtaking to do from here on in. So it's Brown leading Cortez. Fulini crucially up into 3rd place. Fulini doing brilliantly. Busharad down to 4th. And it's Chambers, Beer, Lee still ahead of Bortolotti. We'll see if Lee can try to recapture some of that pace they had last round. Dean Powell all over the place, and quite a bit of damage as well for Powell. He seemingly has collided with Shane Capeco, who's had a poor round. The Empire Racing yellow driver was up in the top 10 for much of Phillip Island. far from that in both races tonight, however. As very slow on the outside there was one of the Porsches. We got 3 wide, they are all bashing into one another, and that was pretty smart there from Rikuti just to back out of that one. It's Sonny Brown, he's got a lot of damage, but I think we'll have to go further up the order because we've got Matthias Beer and Matty Chambers having a very tight battle at the moment. Beer just losing out on that one. That is Beer attacking Chambers though, and here comes Bortolozzi. He needs to get past these guys immediately so he can keep that gap up to Nessov.
Well, oh dear me, sheesh. Bortolozzi has spent about a lap and a half, possibly 2 laps now behind Matthias Beer. He took a big thump there to the front of his BMW M8. Now they build these BMWs strong, we know they're fierce, but they're big machines. So hopefully Marco hasn't taken any damage there, but maybe just imagining it was maybe just a little bit of understeer there, fighting a little bit. That might just be the tyres coming in. But Matthias Beer certainly been a very, very good start to this race so far in 6th place in the Ferrari.
Yeah, and really attacking Chambers as well. Chambers just pulling away a bit now, but I think he'll be pretty close to Chambers by turn 1. And you see Bortolozzi, he's struggling to keep up with Beer at the moment. Maybe we'll see that BMW start to gain a bit down the straight, but not too much. Lee, who did lose that place to Bortolozzi, did hit Bortolozzi going through turn 4. But Bortolozzi just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of pace all of a sudden. As Lee looks to the inside, behind them, Nessov and Riedmuller are alongside one another. That was actually Nessov defending from Riedmuller. So the top drivers from race 1 aren't having it all their own way at the moment. They are really having to fight hard. Jensen Hutchinson's leader of the amateur drivers at the moment. But Steve Berg up 7 places, Björn Kroon up 8 places just behind these guys. Stephen Broomfield a bit further back, up 10 places. And Herbert and Powell are up 18 places each, so some big gainers further down the order.
Yeah, quite a big shake-up here in this opening few laps here in the feature race for round 2 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. And Matthias Beer, lock up there in the Ferrari, and that's going to give Bortolozzi a little bit of the impetus there. He slings it around the outside, but Matthias Beer spots it coming and tries to gas up in the Ferrari, but can't quite do it. And look at that, Nezov spots his opportunity, and that's been a critical sequence, I think, Sam. I think we'll look back on these opening laps as a critical outcome in this race, because Marco Bortolozzi had got quite a jump on Nezov in the early laps, but then got stuck behind Matthias Beer in the Ferrari, and all the while Nezov has just been nudging his way through bit by bit, and now he's right behind him in 7th place. Game on.
Yeah, he possibly can. Bortolozzi needs to be getting past Chambers going into turn 1. Here comes Beer though. He doesn't know when to quit, does Matthias Beer, and he's still trying to fight, and this is not exactly what Nessov needs. Bortolozzi going to go to the outside of Chambers, but Chambers has that one covered off. Nessov also hangs on. Look at Riedmuller as well, the 2 Germans. As there are so many of them out here for tonight. Batsing and Lee just struggling to make much of an impression. Runner-up last season, remember Daniel Lee struggling to move up too many places. Chambers still going mega defensive. He's in the middle of the circuit. Bortolozzi, can he get a good cutback? Bortolozzi was kind of defending from Nessov though, so he couldn't take the wide line and get a real nice exit square off the corner. And instead he's having to keep an eye on Nessov all the while. Nessov goes to the inside whilst Chambers defends to the inside. And it's either, and they're big contact. They're costing each other a lot of time. And potentially into the wall goes our 3-time race winner this season, Alexei Nessov. And I don't want to count him out too early, but that is surely his chances of winning this race 2 of the evening gone now. He's down into 20th position. Surviving that one was Bortolozzi. He remains in 6th place. And hopefully we can get a replay of that one to see if there was any fault between the 2 of them.
Well, it said they were certainly getting very, very frisky up to that point. There was just an air of inevitability about it. And we know Alexei Nezov is a super, super hard racer. He will go for it. He did have the inside line here. You can see No. That's pretty cut and shut for me, but I'm a commentator, not a steward. That's although you get to pick the pace car, Sam, you also get to call that one, so have fun with that.
Well, it might not be me. Oh, as we've got Riedmer. Oh, Riedmer, that's big for the race as well. And Berg as well as crashed off. And Engel. Oh, I think he may have made a contact with another driver there, did he? Or maybe got away with it. But that was a big old incident. Riedmüller going to have to take back to the pits. And this third one, which has been quiet so far in this race, this was Riedmüller going for the move on Beer. Had a great chance at a podium here, did Riedmüller, but he's locked the rear brakes and then he's tried to get back on. That's Daniel Lee that he's hit. It was Steve Burke, I think, that he also hit. And then in the middle of the circuit, those couple of drivers, they had nowhere to go. Lee getting away with that one. Very fortunately, because I thought he may have picked up some steering damage, but he seems to be all right.
Seems to be. We'll keep an eye on Daniel Lee because, yeah, I mean, that rule number one, don't hit the sponsor's car. Don't scratch the sponsor logos. So, of course, Danny Lee running in the Colbek Porsche. Nezov, whoa, he's really got ground to make up now. So, having to really push on hard is Nezov. He's got Maximilian Paul in front in the BMW, who also had a spin earlier on. So, these guys both on a little bit of a recovery. So, maybe they might see them work up the field together. Now, interesting, Marco Bortolotti still in 6th position behind Matty Chambers, and Matty Chambers probably watching all that going on in his mirror saying, oh, that's fantastic, that's wonderful, you guys just keep doing that and I'll just put in my personal best lap of the race.
Might have a change of the lead coming up in just a second. Also looking very nicely in their mirrors would have been these two, Brown and Cortez, because their pace is brilliant. Didn't really think that these guys would have a fantastic chance, but Brown, who took the lead in the first lap, Cortez, who gained a few places himself, they are battling for the race lead here. Fulini is catching these guys. Remember, Matteo Fulini, who hasn't been quite as quick tonight as he was at Phillip Island when he got 2 podiums at Phillip Island, 2nd place in the championship. If he could get the win here, Fulini, he would put himself right into championship contention. But these top 2, as long as they don't start fighting too hard, seemingly have the measure. Boucherad as well, after looking like he was going to drop down the order big time, still running well in 4th place. So, yeah, it's not really turned out to be the race that I thought, and this is quite rare to have a couple of kind of non-top drivers in the lead of the feature race at this point. Brown and Cortez driving very well right now.
Yeah, and lovely to see Tom in the traditional scarlet red Ferrari as well. It's a Ferrari, but in the proper colour as well, which is always nice to see. And of course, Cortez in the new Corvette C8R with the flat crank 5.5 litre V8, normally aspirated, no turbos, none of that nonsense. And whereas the Ferrari, it's actually, although mid-engine as well, it's 3.9 litre with a twin turbo V8. And in fact, what is absolutely astounding to me, Sam, and I think it shows you how good the aerodynamics and the chassis is on this Ferrari, is that the race car has 490, about maybe 500 horsepower, depending on the balance of performance setting. But the standard street car, the entry-level street car of this range, 660 horsepower. So the road car actually has significantly more power. That's how good the chassis and the aero is that it's got to be pegged back so much to compete with the other GT cars.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, certainly would like to be one of them. Matthias Beer onto the back of Chambers again. So this battle has been going on quite a bit so far. Beer has been well, everything that's gone on behind Beer hasn't necessarily turned out well. These guys quite a bit off the lead, about 10 seconds off the lead. Yeah, battling well with one another. Bortolozzi not really catching these guys, and that last lap Bortolozzi did a 30.3. That's about 3/10 slower than Fulini, who was fastest of anyone on that last lap. So I wonder if Bortolozzi's got a bit of damage on that car as well, and struggling to make much progress. But here comes Beer in that Ferrari. It should be good down the straights against the Porsche. And here we go along the pit straights. Chambers holding onto the inside. Beer around the outside. You'll have the inside for the second part of the CNRS, but turns into the outside again. Wide goes Chambers. Does well not to rebound into his rival. They almost make contact, and well, they've been able to gap Bortolozzi slightly, not anymore, but Beer moves up into 5th position. And I mean, if he can consolidate this, Matthias Beer, this would be a huge point for Bortolotti going for an ambitious move. And Bortolotti is round. The 2nd place man from race 1 has had issues just as the 1st and 3rd place men had issues. And Bortolotti back down into 11th place. And that is a massive shame. But there goes Nesov as well. So we're going to see a reignition of this battle. Here they go alongside. Surely not the same incident that they had last time. Not this occasion.
No, not on this occasion indeed. Yeah, Mirko Bortolotti. I've been just getting reports that Bortolotti had a big dive up the inside of Matthew Chambers at turn 1, and I wonder if that maybe pushed him a little bit further back and what lost him those couple of spots. Now, Emil Winbo is written into us, Sam, and he's obviously gone to the Dane Baird school of pointing out the obvious, saying the race car, the Ferrari race car, is also lighter than the road car. Well, of course, yes. There's not the place for the footballer's wife handbag pouch for a start.
You know, poodles weigh a lot.
They do.
Yeah. How much does it weigh actually? About a ton?
No. A GTE car would be about 1,250 kilos. There's a road car be probably a couple of hundred more than that, I would think.
Right. Okay.
Also, you've got to account for the amount of Brill cream in the driver's hair as well. That's going to weigh it down a bit as well.
Of course, yeah. When you've got an open cockpit, you know, a lot more streamlined. I mean, the air's not going to interrupt the air's not going to interrupt that hair whatsoever. So, no, it does have its positives. Palette.
But so I do apologise, Sam. Sorry for cutting across there. It just occurred to me. Now, of course, every week we have the Apex Racing League race reports, which are all published on the Apex Racing League websites. Did you like the, shall we say, the stereotype comparison of each of the cars that you can select in the Apex Racing League GT Championship?
You put me on the spot now. I didn't actually read it. Oh, race 1. Apologies.
I don't know how to process that, Sam. I'm truly sad.
You do write them for me after all.
I do. Yep.
So, sorry about that. Maybe I'll read race 2. It's been a good one. It'd be a good read. Recommend it. That's on the ApexRacingLeague.com website, as Peter says. Chambers, he lost out to Beer on the last lap, but he's done better to hold on this time. Lee just always seems to be in the back of this. On for Lee to kind of be, to be spectating on a battle. He's usually right in the thick of it, and kind of the catalyst for it. But so far, he's just been watching a little bit from afar. This is looking a bit better for him. He does have a bit of damage on that front right, which will be costing him, but you can see Panic as well, a bit of damage on his car as well, so not too much of a disadvantage. Nessel, by the way, up into 9th position, so covering some points at the moment is Nessel. He's just got ahead of Sven Newman. I'll be trying to catch up to these drivers quite soon. But this is one of the closest battles out on circuit at the moment. There's not too many other close battles down the order. I mean, behind Bortolotti is possibly the closest, but even that's not too imminent for any overtakes at the moment. You can check out the intervals between each of the drivers, the positions, their pit stop times, even though a pit stop isn't going to be needed in this race. Still useful. By clicking on the live time in the description below, that'll open up a web page, and you can see all that snazzy info for you to watch along the race with. This might be a move note for Palach, as it's going to be a carbon copy of last time out. They keep on doing this lap after lap, then Boltsots is going to, apologies, Nestle's going to catch up to them, so they really need to sort out who's the faster one and let them go ahead.
Yeah, that is keeping that momentum up is vitally important. But Danny Lee, you can see the little bit of front end damage there, and of course we know that he's got a little bit of damage on the side as well when he got pancaked by another driver going through the Senna S. But good move there from Danny Lee, nice and clean, nice and tidy there, and with those lovely shiny Colbek graphics as well. I have to say that there should be an instant pit lane start for the next race if you scratch any Colbek branding on any of the cars.
We can implement that.
You always look after the sponsor.
Yeah, because thanks to Colbek once again for sponsoring this season of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Dean Powell's had a great race. As long as he started from the pits, he was meant to start from the pits. If Dean hasn't started from the pits, then well, the penalty for that, the penalty for that would be a 1 meeting ban. It's quite a lot, but it's not that hard to look at a penalty sheet to see if he got a pit lane start. He did start from the pits though in race 1. So I trust Dean's done the right thing here and done it all correct. Then Piazza, how has Piazza gained that many places? Piazza's gained 27 places. He did rubbish in race 1 because he crashed and retired. But he's doing much better in this race too. He's looking at a top 20 here. He's certainly not going to score too many points. 1 drop round from the 12 meetings. He'll be hoping that this is the drop round, but still, it's worth trying to gain as many places as he can. And he is up into 20th position then, is Piazza now. Further up, still Brown, Cortez, Bulini, of course. Jensen Adjunssons battling with Stephen Broomfield. That is Broomfield ahead. Broomfield doing very well. Driver who raced in a couple of Apex Racing League GT Championships a while back. Unfortunately, he had to leave the series. Didn't do meeting 1 this season, but he's certainly done very well on his return tonight.
Oh no, we've got 2 Adriansons. We've got the Adriansons in the in the mid pack here, fighting for the amateur race. Oh no, it's just occurred to me that I'll have to write about this in the race report. And Adriansons went up the inside of Adriansons.
Yeah, come on guys, get away from one another. They are brothers. Apparently Derek Adjunssons, I think, does done some dirt oval racing, I believe, in real life.
Now that's very cool.
I'm sure that's a whole plethora of puns you can make now out of that one. The fact that he does dirt racing in real life. The amount of times you hear commentators say about drivers using their rallying skills when they did one rally 20 years ago is unreal. But Adjunssons,
I'll be honest.
Adjunssons drifting it around turn 1, right there, using his rally skills. As Nesov is up into 8th position. He's got ahead of Paluch. Oh, I had to get on the brakes though because he was very slowly turning.
Well, I have to say, of course, for fans of the Apex Racing team and the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Esports team who race in the Porsche Hoyer Esports Super Cup, as Alexei Nezov has a big look up inside of Danny Lee there, and looks like he's got the move done. Has he? I think there's a Porsche there out of shot. No, he hasn't. Danny says, no, you don't. Oh, and Nezov on the grass. And, oh, dear me. And that puts Paluch onto the grass as well, and Newman now recovers in the other course in racing. Corvette, goodness. Well, yes, for fans of Apex Racing Team and RRL Esports, do check out our behind-the-scenes team stream of them racing in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, because, of course, one of our drivers in the Fast 5 is Johan Harf, who's the world iRacing World Rallycross champion, but also races in the Porsche Super Cup, which is a World Championship level event. And honestly, Sam, every time he even has the slightest amount of oversteer, we make reference to him being a rallycross. I mean, any form of opposite lock. Oh, that's his rallycross. We should have a bingo card for it, actually.
It does drive me mad. It does drive me mad. I'm concerned for Daniel Lee here because Nesov was driving angry before Lee puts him off the road, and now Lee's put him off the road, albeit we didn't get a clear view of it. I think Nesov will not be waiting at all, and Lee doesn't usually give up on places. Lee will fight for every position he can. So here comes the move from Nesov. Surely, there you go. He tries to cover it off. I have to open up the steering, but they're still alongside just as they were on the last lap. They won't be able to force him off this time, and Nesov just about manages to get ahead. Now Lee has to try to cover up the core sim racing guys behind, and does a good job of that one. And so Nesov up into P7. He's recovering some decent points. He can still catch up to Beer, perhaps. He'll get past Chambers. It's a matter of if he can catch up to Beer for 5th position. I think that will be the big one for him. Could get pretty tasty down into turn 1 here, because I don't think Nestle's got that good a straight line speed. But it'll still be pretty close. Might go for the big dive going into the center S.
Yeah, let's see if he's going to have a look. He knows he wants to make moves in a hurry, and but needs clean air to deploy his superior pace. He's able to lap in the 129s consistently when those around him are more often than not in the 1-minute 30s. So as you see, Matty Chambers, whoa, he wasn't taking no chances there, going straight to the inside, saying, you're going to have to come through me. You want the inside line, and then Chambers defends his line. Nezel goes for the cutback, and he's just got that little bit more grip, a little bit more, it's hard to say, just that bit more speed, and it really shows there in the mid-corner. But Chambers positioning his 911 RSR. Well, and he takes, oh my goodness me, it's dominoes. Oh dear, we've got Danny Lee out, we've got one of the Corvo. Oh goodness. Well, this is like watching Torvill and Dean, but oh no.
It's like watching Dancing on Ice, more like.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was quite a bit of damage for those cars. That was unfortunate. I'm not sure if that was over-aggressive from Nesov. It was similar to the move that, of course, got him and Bots Lotzi in trouble earlier on. I'm sure the stewards will be having a look at that one. So did any of them manage to continue? I think Lee had to tow back to the pit, so it's too much damage. It did look like they kind of hit all each other in the corners, and so that has changed up this race. Chris van der Nesse now up into 9th position. Palachim to 7th, and Botswatsi up into 8th. That is a shame, as Lee, in fact, Lee didn't tow back to the pits, but he has had to come into the pits for a fast repair, and that will probably send him outside the top 40.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be possible to get a replay of that. We will try and get it for you, viewers, if we can. It was a little bit of a 50-50 one. It seemed, on one hand you could say that, Mandy Chambers shut the door. On one hand you could say that Nezov just shoved it up the inside when there was no gap. It's there's always going to be two sides to the story. So let's get another look at it, and you can decide for yourself, folks. Well, there you go. And it just it's so unlucky with the kind of collateral damage that triggered from it. And this you just couldn't write this as well. Goodness me. What a disappointing end to what has been a great charge, particularly for Matty Chambers, who's running so solid in that top 5.
Yeah, I always hold back giving judgment in the commentary box until I see more angles. So that one will be interesting to see if there are any penalties given out. So we've got 40 minutes to go. Phillip Island was a good meeting. This has already surpassed it. So we've got some more action to come in this race. We haven't paid much attention to the top 3 because there's been so much going on. In fact, we'll stick with the Adjensons because I wasn't expecting to see this one. Jensen had a lot more pace than Dara in round 1 of the championship. There goes Adjensons up the inside, but Adjensons is coming back. Adjensons holding on to the outside, but Adjensons taking the inside for the next corner. We'll see if Adjensons can get the toe back into 4, but it seems like Adjensons has it covered off. Oh, there goes Adjensons looking to the inside into turn 4. Adjensons has to open up the line.
Do you think they're identical twins and share a bunk bed?
Perhaps so. Well, whoever wins this is going to be their parents' favourite, so there's a lot at stake here, and also going to get that £8 of prize money provided by Colbek. So a lot's at stake here, and it does seem like Adjensons of the Dara variety has pulled ahead and has a chance of pulling away. Credit to Dara Adjensons. Jensen's been racing with us for a couple of seasons already. Dara in his first season. And yeah, like I said, nowhere near the pace of Jensen's in Phillip Island, but today he's been much quicker, and that would be impressive to take the amateur race win if he could hold onto it from here.
Indeed, yeah, the brothers Adjensons doing a great job. We could call them the Belgian Jordan and Ricky Taylor.
Sorry, I don't quite understand that reference.
Okay, so Jordan and Ricky Taylor, both actually, so this was quite cool. Last week in the Rolex 24 Hour at Daytona, Wayne Taylor Racing won the outright race with their new Acura DPI. So Wayne Taylor's the father. Ricky Taylor was driving in that particular car, so won outright. And brother Jordan won for Corvette in the GTLM class. So very much a racing family. And Jordan and Ricky about the same age.
Right. It is insane how much genetics play a part in motorsports. I would say it's the most genetically, most talent-oriented sport of them all. You either have it or you don't. Yeah, it is not too unusual to see two brothers as evenly matched as that. As Kroon holding off Piazza. Denny Piazza up now 33 places. And he's still got time to gain 3 more. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens up ahead as well. So, yeah, we could see potentially 40 places gained for Piazza, which is a record I doubt will be beaten anytime soon this season. Started down in 48th position. Brian Kroon looking like he's going to get some decent points tonight for Indy Autosport Red after a decent race 1. We haven't paid attention to the top 3 for ages because the racing's been so good further down, but it has been enthralling. If we just had these 3 on track, then it would still be an interesting fight because we've got Brown leading the way, Tom Brown leading the way, as he has done for this whole race. Cortez has been in his draft for the entire race. Very rarely has got alongside a couple of corners early on in the race. Fulini is in 3rd, but Fulini started to drop off these guys. He got the gap down from about 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds, just opened up to 2 seconds again. But it's really anyone's game, and if one of these drivers starts losing their tyres at all, that might just be the difference. So I can't call this one. I think all 3 of these have an equal opportunity at the race win from here.
Yeah, it would appear so. They've had a really kind of almost quiet battle, if you like, off camera. But yeah, Brown and Cortez, impossible to call who's gonna take this one. The moment Tom Brown from 3rd on the grid, it was all in that start, wasn't it, Sam? He made an absolute rocket start and kind of caught the guys on the front row napping.
Yeah, they just didn't react to the green flag, did they? It's always worth as the leader to go before the green flag because the others aren't going to know when to go. Obviously, if the green flag comes up, everyone puts their foot down. Whereas if you go by yourself, then you're controlling it, and that was the mistake that the leaders made. Bouchard made that mistake. Chambers couldn't really do anything about it from the front row because yeah, he was kind of waiting for the pole sitter to go. So that is Crouch ahead of Powell. Crouch had an issue earlier on, obviously, dropped outside the top 30. So back up into 19th. Powell getting loads of places in 20th despite having a bit of damage. And then you got Rakuti and Kitzman. Kitzman trying to recover as many places as he can. Kitzman up 28 places from his start. That's not bad going, but obviously Piazza's made that look a little bit wimpish. Kitzman, though, still in for some decent points. There's Steve Burke doing ever so well in race 1. Unfortunately, a bit further down in race 2, but yeah, 30th place isn't bad for an amateur driver.
No, definitely not, especially in a field as busy as this. Now, just an update on Danny Lee, who was involved in that heavy contact, that little bit of a domino effect struck off by Alexei Nezov and Matthew Chambers. As you can see, he's on the move in 33rd position. So having got that faster fare, looks like Danny will still score some points, which is exactly what you need to do, because these things will happen across as long a season as this. So to just get out there, score the points, you know, forget about it, but make sure you salvage something from a bad lot.
Absolutely, and with only 1 drop round out of 12 meetings, you've got to finish all the races you can. I mean, it would be impressive if the drivers managed to do all 12 meetings. Oh, we've got Dean Powell. Dean Powell, so he hasn't hit the wall, thankfully, but that is a shame for Powell. Still in 24th place, and he lost a handful of places there. But yeah, with the only 1 drop score, this will almost certainly not be a drop out. I mean, there's some worse stuff that's going to happen later on the season. You might have a pit lane start for race 1, do rubbish, and then get involved in an incident in race 2. So obviously you need to make sure that you're up there. Pal's gone wide in turn 1 again, and he's got Rista and Bingham catching up. Not Ham Bingham, but instead Tom Bingham, as the overlay now shows correctly. Tom trying to go around the outside here into turn 4. Has he been able to pull off that one? He's going to have to track extend a little bit, but that is a nice move, and he gets ahead of the Empire Sim Racing driver.
Yeah, I have to say, I like the look of that Empire Sim Racing 911. It's, yeah, I really like... Oh, it doesn't look as good as it now, and goodness me, it's Scott Rister. Oh, a little skiff there as well. Who was that going by? Fabian Elpers does well to not have it worse, but that was just really unlucky. He had a bit of rear wing damage there. I don't know if that was... I'd be surprised if that was as a result of that contact, but not ideal there. So let's get a look at it again from Fabian Elfer's point of view. This will be pretty scary, I would think. So you can see a little bit of calamity going on ahead. You can see the contacts. There's a driver. You think, oh, they're off the circuit. Oh, it's fine. Oh no, it's not. Oof, dear me.
I think the damage was caused by it. They certainly did touch, but unfortunately, just on the rear of the car, could have been a lot worse. The gap between the leaders is half a second at the moment. Cortez, you know, the nature of this circuit, the flat out section from turn 12 to turn 1 is so long. It's kind of just a case of a bit like Formula 1 when a driver's just trying to stay within a second. It's kind of a similar situation. You're not trying to overtake on this part, you're just trying to stay close. And that is close. That's looking good for Cortez there. It's 0.3 of a second, and we'll see if that C8 has got any straight line speed. I think he's losing time according to the relative screen. It's gone up to 0.35. Oh, he doesn't have the straight line speed here, Cortez. So if he's going to overtake, he's got to probably get it coming out of turn 4, heading into turn 6, 7, 8, that middle part of that, because the straight line speed isn't there for him to make the move into turn 1.
No, the Ferrari had so much more low down grunt, maybe a little bit more torque perhaps, or just maybe the gearing as well. It could be that Tom Brown's got that little bit lower gearing in that car just to just get that little bit more grunt off the slow corners. Well, if you look at Tom Brown's start, that would maybe support that theory, because if he's got the car a little bit more short gear to get a little bit more fierce acceleration low down, and sacrificing a little bit of top end, that could be what is the difference there. But Gonzalo Cortez had absolutely no chance there. He just got left for dead, and he was perfectly in the slipstream as well.
Yeah, and he's not really getting too much through the corners here. Brown has been faultless so far in this race. The cooler track conditions, I imagine, helping slightly with that. But particularly the tyre, particularly at this point, the tyres will be going off a bit. But he has kept it resolute so far. We are moving into 4 minutes to go, which means that there's 3 more laps to go at the conclusion of this one. And it is still Tom Brown heading for his first ever race win. In fact, the top 5 drivers have never won a race in Apex Racing League GT. Did Matthias Beer win a race in the GT4 Championship? I think he won 1 race, didn't he?
I think he did, yes. There was one race where his BMW, it was like you say, it was completely hamstrung in some of the shorter, twistier circuits, but on the longer circuits where you could really let it get up to speed, it was very good. I forgive me, Sam, I can't remember which track it was, but I'm fairly certain he did win a race in the ARA GT4 series.
I have all the results somewhere, so I will have a look at it in a minute. Broomfield up into 10th place, ahead of Grossman's. I think that's the case again. But I'm a fan of Stephen Viewfield. Maybe he'll get my driver of the day. There's plenty of drivers who are up for driver of the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to colbek.co.uk/iRacing and you can vote for your driver of the day. All the drivers out here tonight will be eligible for that driver of the day. If you go on the website, then you can make your own choice for who you think was the best driver, or just your favourite driver. You can just do that, and they get a medal, they get some prize money. It's worth doing. So do check out colbek.co.uk/iRacing, and another big thanks to Colbek, IT reseller, getting you discounts on all the software which runs your IT company. So certainly do check out their website. Big thanks to them for supporting this season. James Crouch up into 19th place. Oh, that's not a move. Good driving there from Galmetzer to let him have that one. But Max Paul does move back up into 19th place. Paul and Crouch could easily be running in the top 5, but instead they've had a bit of a mare in this race too.
Yes, they have indeed. Yeah, Maximilian Paul definitely has more pace than this, that's for sure. But just had that early spin there really cost him. Indeed. Marco Tolman having problems here in his Porsche, pulling over to the side, just letting the others go by, who are on the same lap as him. So Marco Tolman, I wonder if he's maybe getting a little bit squeaky on fuel, because the others just blew by him. I actually thought he was a lap down, but he's not. So Marco Tolman perhaps trying to limp that 4-litre naturally aspirated flat 6 motor on fumes.
Yeah, he's saying another one. Oh no, he's defending against Vikuti. Apologies. Yeah, we'll see. See if he can get to the finish. And the amateur driver, Vikuti, just behind him. By the way, Matthias Beer, he did win a race, and it was at Circuit of the Americas Race 1. He won a race. He also got a handful of other podiums as well. So Beer's won a race in Apex Racing League in the past, but yeah, the top 4 all in their debut season in Apex Racing League. So it would be a big deal for any of them to take home the race win. Galmetzer overtaken by Crouch up into 18th place. Nesov is setting fastest lap of the race after fastest lap. He's doing very well. As Beer moves up into 4th place. I hadn't spotted that one. I thought Boucherad had that one covered, but Beer up into 4th. But they've both got Nesov chasing them down lap after lap at the moment, and Nesov is about a second a lap quicker than these guys. I think Beer might be safe, but it might be Boucherad who is overtaken, as we are, in fact, on the last lap of the race.
I don't think anyone's safe here. You can never underestimate Alexei Nezov, especially a riled up and angry Alexei Nezov, who's very much been a story of what could have been. Alexei, once he's starting from pole and driving off, his pace is so good that and so consistent. There's almost nothing his competitors can do. But going through the real pack, going through the pack here in the reverse grid race, particularly at a place like Interlagos, is not easy. And look at this, Burshid's not letting him have it in the Porsche 911 RSR, and Matthias Beer, he's giggling his way all the way to the final corner. Nezov, really big strong move there, gets it done cleanly, really nice move, and the checker flag's in the air.
Yeah, and it is Tom Brown who manages to win his first race in Apex Racing League GT Championship history. Congratulations to Tom Brown. He beats Cortez and Fulini, who pushed him so hard throughout the event. And that is a brilliant race win for Tom Brown. Congratulations to the privateer. Nesov did manage to beat Boucherad. He'll keep the championship lead, but certainly not an easy way to do a couple of collisions for him. Dar Adjansons, he wins his first amateur race in the Apex Racing League GT Championship on only his 4th attempt. But Indy Autosports, Gray, Piazza, Adjansons and Kroon rounding out the top 15 places. What a race that was. It felt a lot longer than 40 minutes because of so much that happened. There's actually still got Daniel Lee trying to overtake Polo Vina. Lee's got a squeaky clean car because he picks up a faster pet, but it will just be 30th place for Daniel, which will hurt his championship aspirations, I imagine. But yeah, that was an action-packed race to say the least right there, Peter. You're going to have to fill in a lot for your race report post-race. And yeah, Tom Brown, who really has come out of nowhere. I mean, no disrespect for Tom. I can't actually recall where he finished in the 2 races at Phillip Island. Heck, I don't even remember him in race 1 today, but when he got into the lead, that was no stopping. He didn't make a single mistake all race long. And yeah, held on, had brilliant pace as well.
Exactly, and we've got 3 manufacturers on the podium. We've got Ferrari, Corvette, and Porsche. So I have to say that is one of my favourite takeaways from this round here at Interlagos. Sam, is it's really nice to see a mixture of brands up there. The whole point of this formula is that you should be able to be competitive no matter which car you choose. Of course, each car has its own attributes that it's kind of unique characteristics. But Ferrari out up front for the first time in a while with Corvette second and Porsche third. But of course, we had Porsche P1 to 6 in the feature race last week, so it's nice to see that gap. But driver of the day, I mean, I was just thinking with a few laps to go there, whoever won that battle between Tom Brown and Gonzalo Cortez really deserves it, because as you say, this championship has always been competitive, but particularly so this season, and to get a win in the feature race, no less, absolutely superb.
Yeah, I think Brown earned the driver of the day with that performance. That really was faultless from him right there. He wins his first race in Apex Racing League history ahead of Gonzalo Cortez. Matteo Fulini finishes in 3rd position. Then it was Mateus Beer, great result for Beer, in 4th position. By the way, Fulini with his 3rd podium out of 4 races. He's properly been consistent so far this season. Alexei Nesov somehow finishes in 5th place, 14 seconds off the lead. He would have been hoping for another double, but considering that he was off the track within a few laps, I think he'll take that one. Nasser Busharad, great day for Nasser, in 6th place. Then it was Make Paluch, Mirko Bortolozzi, Chris van der Nesse, Stephen Broomfield, and Ronald Grossmans. Darragh Adjunson was top of the amateur drivers. Denny Piazza gained so many places. He gained 35 places to Piazza to finish in 13th place. Jensen Adjunson makes it an Indy Autosport 1-2 once again in the feature race. In race 2 for Indy Autosport. Brian Kroon, Dominic Engel, Maximilian Paul, James Crouch, Anton Galmetzer, and Marco Tolman rounds out the top 20. There's Dori Rakuti, Kevin Kitzman recovering some important points there, Drew Becker, Dean Powell, Tom Bingham, David Gowrie, Fabian Elfers, Steve Burke, Edon Polovina, and Danny Lee rounding out the top 30. Behind that was Scott Kimbrough, Pete Mahia, Derek Holland, Chris Prescott, Brent Cook, Dave Chadwick, Daniel Sykes. Sonny Brown was in 38th, and then it was Aaron Herbert, EJ Nixon, Scott Rister, Sven Newman, Maxi Chambers, Max Riedmuller, Maximilian Fritz, Andrew Collins-Reed, Shane Keiko, Jan Kernath, Bradley Holst, and Justin Garrick. Lots of retirees. We saw a lot of retirees last time out actually as well, but that is 10 retirees. Come on guys, you have a faster pair. How many times must I say you have a faster pair? But they decided that it wasn't worth continuing in the race. So we will have some interviews with us. Currently we've only got one interview with a driver, which is a little bit strange, but we will have a chat with him. And it is Alexei Nesov, who managed to take his 3rd race win of the season in race 1, and then managed to finish in 5th position in race 2. Congratulations, Alexei, on another race win. First up on race 1, it looked rather simple for you. You know, you got pole position, you got a lead early on, and seemed quite plain sailing out there.
But it just looked like that. It wasn't that easy. Firstly, with the quali, I got so lucky to have a clean laps in the beginning, so I couldn't avoid traffic. It helped me to take pole position. But messed up with the setup a little bit for the first race, and it was slightly understeery, I mean. And that's why I was a little bit off the pace. And also the Porsche is not the best choice for this track and for these temperatures. But fortunately could take the win in the first race. But the second one was fun, but a bit dirty from myself, I would say. And would apologize for some incidents I caused. And damage also didn't help. I mean, I was a bit pissed off when firstly I had too high wing. That's why I couldn't even follow the drivers in front on the straights, and also some drivers which were like very off the pace started to bend hardly, and I've got too aggressive, and few incidents on me, and I have to get some penalties for this. But otherwise, yeah, it was really funny, and yeah, this result is the best I could get here.
Yeah, I mean, a first and a fifth, pretty good considering those instances in race one. Did you make any apologies in race two? Did you make any changes to the setup between race one and two to adjust for the track temperatures, or did you just keep it the same?
Yeah, I just fixed it from the race one, the issues which were there.
And looking ahead to the rest of the season, you've got a pretty good championship lead already. I mean, are you already thinking about the championship situation rather than the individual races, trying to kind of put yourself into that championship winning position?
Obviously, we was aiming for the win in this championship since even before the round one, and that's the only goal here for me. But yeah, so it looks good yet. I have a good pace, good start of the season, and I hope I can keep up with these results for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck for that, Alexei. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thank you. Thank you guys for the race. So I'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, Alexei.
Bye-bye.
Alexei Nesov there, finishing in first and fifth positions. I think our highest point scorer tonight, just as he was at Phillip Island. Who would you like to have a chat with now, Peter?
Ooh, let me see who's one. I think let's get our winner in here, Tom Brown. Let's get him into the commentary box and have a chat and see how he is feeling. Tom Brown, welcome to the Apex Racing TV commentary box. First of all, congratulations on your first win in the ARL. How does it feel?
Yeah, I guess that was aimed at me. Sorry, I didn't hear the start of that. Pretty special, really. I've only just got into iRacing and sim racing and joining the league. It was, a bit nerve-wracking because I didn't know how I would fare, but it's been great to get a win so early.
It certainly was indeed. You fairly got that Ferrari boogieing off the line and or from the rolling start and made it from third into first down into turn one. Tell us about the process of the start and how you managed that.
I think it suits the Ferrari, this track, and the speed was obviously just right and catching it in the right gear, and obviously got the launch. And I thought the leader was going to cover the inside a little bit more, but there was just enough space there, and yeah, decided to go for it. And then found myself in the lead into turn one, which was great.
And of course, you had a brilliant battle all the way through with the Corvette. I mean, the Ferrari seemed to have a really good kind of grunt out of the slower corners, which of course is really important here at Interlagos. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, definitely. And I really concentrated on trying not to make too many mistakes, although I was under a lot of pressure throughout the whole race, too much really for my liking. So really concentrated on making sure hitting the apex and getting on the power early. But I do think that the track did suit the Ferrari.
Well, you certainly drove it to within an inch of its being there. Tom, with this win, it puts you right in the contest for the championship. What's your thoughts going into the next few rounds?
Just to keep it clean. I just want to make sure I keep scoring good points throughout, and then get halfway through the season and see how we're doing.
Well, we certainly look forward to watching it. Tom, before we let you go and enjoy your win, who would you like to say hello to here on Apex Racing TV?
Just my family, really. I used to do a bit of racing, so they're all watching, and I think they're enjoying getting involved again.
Well, I'm glad. I hope they enjoyed the broadcast and enjoy the rest of the season. Tom, congratulations on a brilliant win, and looking forward to speaking again very soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Tom Brown there, the race 2 winner. And of course, if the Brown household are listening along, go vote on colbek.co.uk/iRacing for Tom Brown as your driver of the day, and he can get a medal. The race win is something, but a medal is something else.
Go into
We're
your
gonna
local
have-
PC world and vote on all 10 of the demo computers. That's a good tip.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're talking about kind of thrifty Scottish people. I feel like everyone's got 10 email addresses to get the best of a discount. So use all 10 of them, you know, and yep, you can get Tom a medal. Anyway, we've got Daniel Lee in here, which I'm very glad about. We had to settle for Matty Chambers last week, and that went dreadfully. But we've got Daniel Lee now, our preferred guy in the commentary box. Daniel, it was a bit of a tricky race up there. We'll start off with race 1. It seemed like you just lost out in every 50-50 battle because the racing was so tight. You didn't look slow up there, but it just seemed like you lost all the 50-50 battles. Like I said, ended up in 11th place. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, you summed it up pretty well. I kind of felt mugged at every opportunity. There was just the pack was so tight. I said to myself, this is the closest, craziest racing I've seen in a long time, and the pack was just fighting so well, so close together. But as you say, on every coin flip, I just ended up losing out. Every time I made an attack, I lost a place. Every time somebody attacked me, 3 more came through. I can't blame my tools, but the Porsche is pretty weak here. Inexplicably, it can't do its best here. It just doesn't suit it. So I was running skinny wing just to try and keep up with the cars on the straights. That usually helps with actual race trim. But otherwise, it really was a case of I just got bullied. You know, I was the 10th puppy in a 9 litre. You know, I was the runt of the litter basically, and it kind of repeated itself in race 2.
Yeah, well, talk us through the incident from what you saw when you made contact with the car spinning ahead.
Yeah, that wasn't fatal or terminal. I could have carried on, but it looked to me as if Nesov stuck his nose in the wedge that was disappearing, and it sent Matty round, who had fought really hard to keep me and Fritz, I think it was behind me. And then Nesov joined the party, and it all just came to a boil then. Bureaucracy put an end to my race 2 because it showed me a meatball to come into the pits to pick up a fast repair. So that's one trip through the pits, and then on the outlap, I went a little millimetre over that turn 4 curb, which, as you might know, is so super strict, and it sent me in for a drive-through penalty for getting 16 incidents. So it was close and hard fought, but just a disappointing end to be scuppered by what is essentially automatic stewarding. So a shame.
Yeah, there were 2 other drivers. It's quite an exclusive club. Aaron Herbert and Chris Prescott. So maybe you can mull over your off-track troubles with that one. You guys all just went over the limit. But next up, Montreal. I don't believe we visited there in Apex Racing League GT. I feel like I would have remembered. We visited there in American GT, but that was before your time. So have you ever done that circuit in these cars?
Yeah, I loved Montreal. That's kind of the track that got me back into the Porsche in between seasons. So I know it well. I like it. The Porsche should be pretty rickety over the bumps there. That's the only trouble. You have to avoid the high curbs there, but you don't necessarily have to do that in the BMW. I don't know what the C8's like or the Ferrari, but I'm expecting it to be another kind of laboured track for the Porsche where you've got to make it happen under braking and nail it, because you're not going to get it in the sort of rickety chicanes. You're going to have to work pretty hard. So looking forward to it though.
Definitely, and best of luck for that one. Danny, is there anyone you'd like to give any thanks to?
Thank you very much. Colbek Systems, go to, as you've probably said already, colbek.co.uk/iRacing. Vote for your driver of the day there. That was a success last week, and Tom Bingen, who won it, got a medal on the way. Thanks to wife Claire for being supportive, and all of the people on the grid, and you guys for doing a decent job of the broadcast. No, better than decent, a great job. let me just wind that back.
I was about to kick you out.
Back pedal, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. We'll
I'd have
see
taken
you.
decent.
I think it's quite flattering, frankly, compared to the service we provide. Thanks for having a chat with us, Danny. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, thank you. See you then.
Danny Lee then, I think 11th in race 1 and then 30th in race 2. Yeah, wasn't quite the result that he was looking for. But yeah, still, we'll see him back next week, I'm sure. Yeah, Montreal next time, Peter. I'm a bit fearful for that one. If you have a crash on there on the start, then you're going to have a lot of cars involved. But it can be quite an unpredictable race. I think it's one of those where, because of the nature of the curves, it's very much a specialist circuit. So we might see, once again, quite a mixed up order. And maybe that will be one of the best chances of the season for the drivers further down to challenge the Urano Esports drivers.
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, at Montreal, the attrition rate is usually very high. The walls do not move. They are so close, and especially over the curbs, some of these cars can get quite unsettled over those curbs, depending on how you set them up. So, yeah, that it's going to be a tough one for the drivers. And I think as you mentioned on a broadcast earlier on this week, is that it is a good, that at least the practice will be good fun, because there's no excuse for not getting plenty of practice in, because it is just such a fun circuit just to hot lap on, just doing 10-20 minute runs and seeing what you can do, and before you know it, you've got a couple of hours practice under your belt. So I'm really intrigued to see how it goes, and I don't think we saw the best of Mirko Bortolotti today either. I feel if we see him back next week, expect him to be further up the sharp end.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Gonna be a one to watch next time out at Montreal. When we visited their American GT, it was crazy. Partially because I set the reverse grid wrong. We had all the GT3s grid up ahead of the GTEs. Absolute disaster. One of the worst and best races I've ever seen, because it was so crazy. Hopefully it won't be quite that crazy, but I think it'll still be entertaining. Certainly. Recommend to watch it. Big thanks to all the supporters for this race. We didn't shout out Virtual Racing School, I think, during the race, so big shout out to them, providing some fantastic liveries, some fantastic setups, apologies, and data packs for all sorts of cars. And of course, thanks to SDK Gaming and Apex Racing Academy as well for their support. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it. Go and check out Colbek, of course, their driver of the day, colbek.co.uk/iRacing. You can vote for your driver of the day there. And big thanks to Colbek as well for sponsoring this Apex Racing League GT Championship Season 4. We are going to see you back next time out at Montreal, but for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Peter Mackay, and from Sam Kume, we're going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.